What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Khabib predicts Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. At UFC 294, Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira will compete in a highly anticipated rematch for the UFC lightweight title. Heading into the fight, there's been quite a bit of talk regarding whether or not Charles Oliveira will be able to avenge his UFC 280 loss and reclaim the lightweight title. While he appeared to have made strides in his game throughout his latest performance against Beneil Dariush, the odds still have Makhachev sitting as a considerable favorite right now. With just weeks to go until the fight, Hall of Famer Khabib Nurmagomedov shared his thoughts on how he thinks the rematch between Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira will play out. In a recent Instagram story, the Eagle wrote 21 October and still letting fans know that he has no doubts that Makhachev will emerge victorious from the contest. Of course, as the Eagle famously has stated in the past, he believes Makhachev will defend the belt 5 or 6 times in 3 years, explaining that no champion's reign lasts forever. With the fight rapidly approaching, only time will tell whether or not Nurmagomedov's prediction comes true at UFC 294. Shout out to our first comments on yesterday's video. Thanks for the support. Jared Cannonier breaks silence on Sean Strickland fight. Jared Cannonier is doing everything he possibly can to secure a rematch with Sean Strickland after the champ's big UFC 293 upset over Israel Adesanya. Heading into the fight, Cannonier agreed to weigh in as the backup fighter in the event that either Adesanya or Strickland was unable to compete. Now, he believes the time is right for he and the champ to once again do the quote-unquote man dance. If you're a true hand-to-hand combat fan like me and not in it for the clown actors and their theatrics, then you know this is the fight to make. I beat the champ and got 2 checks to prove it. He wasn't walking me down screaming in my face either. Nobody does that to me. The only other middleweight to beat him has ascended. He fought him differently than he fought me as well. On top of that, he said it himself that he fought like a... So here's your chance to redeem your man card, Sean Strickland. Let's actually do the man dance, brother. So far, it seems as though whether or not Strickland and Adesanya have an immediate rematch largely depends on if the last stylebender wants to take some time off before jumping into a training camp. With plenty of options on the table, it's safe to say it'll be interesting to see what route the UFC decides to go. Update on the Derek Brunson situation. News surfaced this week that longtime UFC veteran Derek Brunson had been removed from the UFC's active roster. As a result, his UFC 295 fight with Roman Dolidze has been scrapped, while Brunson set his sights on Jake Paul. Brunson's longtime manager, Ali Abdelaziz, released a statement through MMA Fighting's Damon Martin, which read, Derek Brunson has been under the UFC umbrella for 11 years. He had an amazing career there. The last 7 years, he's been in the top 10 rankings. The UFC was amazing to him there, helped shape who he is today, and we're very grateful for the opportunity. He has to move on and looking forward to what comes next for him. Brunson then took to Twitter with a screenshot of a 2021 tweet from Jake Paul, where the YouTuber asked Dana White to give Brunson permission to fight him. Included in the 2021 tweet from Paul that Brunson posted was a screenshot of an article where Brunson offered to take a tune-up fight against Paul. The news of Brunson's release came as a shock to fans for 2 reasons. In addition to the fact that he was slated to fight in November, he had also been a staple of the UFC's middleweight division since 2012, when he made his successful UFC debut against Chris Lieben at UFC 155. Former champ Conor McGregor used the opportunity to seemingly take aim at Ali Abdelaziz, quote-tweeting the statement from Abdelaziz regarding Brunson with the caption, "A scumbucket." Whether or not Brunson winds up getting a fight with Jake Paul or he winds up signing with another promotion, only time will tell. Money changed Conor McGregor, according to Dana White. There's been plenty of confusion, speculation, and even frustration among fans regarding the return of former champ Conor McGregor. With the latest season of The Ultimate Fighter now having come and gone without a big announcement regarding when McGregor and Chandler will fight, fans will have to wait until 2024 to see the Irish star back in action. During a recent interview on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Dana White spoke about how everything changes once you reach the level of superstardom that McGregor has.
Well, here's what happens, Pierce, and you know this. I'm sure you've seen this with colleagues and friends and people that you know. Once a certain level of money is attained, you know, to be the person that you were coming up, to be that hungry and work that hard and be that dedicated to the sport or whatever craft it is you do, money changes everything. And Conor McGregor has made that kind of money.
While McGregor has maintained in recent years that he wants to remain active, he has lost a considerable amount of time in the last few years recovering from the horrific injury he sustained at UFC 264. After a hot start to 2023, it's no secret that the UFC will be looking to start off 2024 with a bang, leading up to UFC 300, with those plans presumably including Conor McGregor. UFC Fight Updates. This week has been a big one for the UFC, with several new fights, late replacements, and a big contract update. Without further ado, let's jump right in. First up on the calendar, we have a scrap between Lucy Pudilova and Ailin Perez, which is scheduled for UFC Vegas 82 on November 18th. The event will be headlined by a middleweight tilt between Brendan Allen and Paul Craig, with Pudilova looking to bounce back from an April loss to Jocelyn Edwards, and Perez looking to build on a July win over Ashley Evans-Smith. Next up on the calendar, we have a bout between Zhang Mingyang and Brenson Ribeiro, set for December 9th at UFC China. The event will see Mingyang look to build on an impressive winning streak that recently saw him capture a Road to UFC win last summer. On the flip side, Ribeiro will be looking to extend a win streak of his own that recently saw him pick up a Dana White's Contender Series victory over Bruno Lopez. Shifting gears to some fight updates, reports have surfaced that Tainara Lisboa has received a new opponent for UFC Vegas 81 on October 14th. With Daria Zelezniakova out of the fight, Lisboa will now fight Ravina Oliveira on the card. Just a few weeks later, the UFC Sao Paulo card on November 4th will now see Eduardo Moura and Montserrat Cornejo Ruiz square off after So Yul Kim withdrew from the scheduled bout. Last but certainly not least, Diego Lopez has announced that he has signed a new multi-fight deal with the UFC. He tweeted about the occasion, writing, "I just signed a new contract with the UFC for multiple fights. I'm blessed with everything that is happening in my life. Jason House, you're the best manager, brother. Thanks for everything." In addition, Lopez also tweeted about his next fight, revealing that he'll be fighting on the UFC 295 card at Madison Square Garden in November. Chael Sonnen makes bold prediction. Few experts have sided with former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou heading into his boxing match with Tyson Fury. Considering Fury's unblemished record and Ngannou's inexperience inside the boxing ring at a professional level, it's no wonder that Fury opened as a massive favorite when the bout was announced. According to former UFC title challenger Chael Sonnen, however, after seeing Sean Strickland upset Israel Adesanya at UFC 293, he isn't counting Ngannou out of his clash with Fury in Saudi Arabia. During a recent episode of The Schaub Show, Sonnen gave his thoughts on the situation.
I mean, I got to look at that and I instantly think about Francis and Fury and go, well, yes, maybe it's not quite as hard as we think it is. Maybe you get a guy that's a little awkward and does stuff you're not used to. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm accepting, but yes, to see that Sean Strickland was a better striker than Adesanya, I thought that was mind-blowing.
Of course, heading into the fight, Ngannou has vowed to make Fury feel his power. The question, of course, is whether or not he's able to land clean on a fighter who has proven to be incredibly elusive throughout his career. Brendan Moreno dismisses Pantoja's call-out of OMalley. Although recently crowned champions Sugar Sean O'Malley and Alexander Pantoja seem to have a bit of beef stemming from a 2017 sparring session, former champion Brendan Moreno believes that the back and forth between the two won't lead anywhere. While speaking in an interview with the Schmo, Moreno dismissed Pantoja's call-out of O'Malley, explaining that he believes Sugar Sean has bigger fish to fry. In addition, he also explained that if the UFC decides to have he and Pantoja fight yet again, he's ready.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I mean, unfortunately for Pantoja, I mean, anybody cares about that fight. I think Sean O'Malley has another business in the future with Aljo or Merab or Chito. So let's see what UFC decide for us. I mean, I'm ready for the rematch if the UFC wants that.
As Pantoja revealed back in July, he's eyeing a December return to the octagon to defend his title. Whether or not Moreno gets the rematch, only time will tell. Dana White's recent interview with Piers Morgan revealed that both of his parents passed away recently, and Dana had almost no feelings about it.
I don't think I've ever talked about this, but my parents both died recently. I don't like talking about it, but yeah, my parents died recently, and
how did that make you feel, given how difficult things have been?
I'm good with it. I'm good with everything. You know, I focus a lot on my kids and my relationship with them, and I've sort of put my relationship with my parents behind me.
Did you feel sad when you knew they died, or did you feel it was the end of a...
No, I didn't wish any ill will on either one of my parents, but I didn't. When they passed away, I had almost no feelings about it, to be honest with you.
You didn't go to their funerals, either of them?
I took care of my father and moved him up to Maine, put him to rest with his family up there. And then my mother, I had nothing to do with any of hers. Her family handled her when she passed away.
The MMA community reacted to this news by going off on Dana, saying that it makes sense why he is the way he is, straight to the point and ruthless. Here's what some fans had to say about the situation. I don't care what happens in life. My relationship with my parents will never get this bad. If I lost my mom or dad, I lose myself. Another fan said, to some, losing their parents is a real slap to the face. For me, I like to save the slaps to the face for my wife. Someone else said, he didn't even go to his own mother's funeral, and people will still try to argue he isn't a piece of. Another fan said, he deducts the cost of fighters' flights to their own fights. You think he gives a about anything? Khamzat Chimaev sends a warning to Paulo Costa ahead of their fight at UFC 294. Khamzat, on his YouTube channel, posted a short where he said,
Paulovich, you dead, man. Just be sure, come up to the cage, beat you up, send you back in the package to Brazil. But still in Brazil, they don't want you. No countries recognize you. Now you're coming to my country. Muslims, brother, they're coming for you. Allahu Akbar.
Top comments. I don't know why people are ignoring a man who is asking for help. Maybe this is gonna sound a bit crazy, but if someone is threatening to kill your spouse and pets, maybe call the cops? We don't care about Conor. Please stop bringing him up like he wants, cause he craves attention. That's why he does all this BS and calls out every fighter who gets a big win. We don't care about what a retired fighter is doing to ruin his legacy even more. We don't want to hear about a dude terrified to piss in a cup. Someone responded with, I care about Conor. More videos about him, please. GOAT. UFC 294 be fire. Can't wait Khamzat and Costa press conference. If you want to be featured in our next video, make sure to leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you tomorrow.